Hi friends, welcome back on Rare Bucks. Wait. Before you scroll past, you need to stop right now, because what I'm holding in my hand could genuinely change the way you think about coin collecting forever. This is not just any silver dollar. This is a 1918 fine silver 1-ounce coin, and the numbers I'm about to throw at you, the auction records, the error varieties, the grades, are going to make your jaw drop to the floor. Stay locked in, because this one is absolutely wild, from start to finish. Alright everyone, welcome back to Rare Bucks, the channel where we dig deep into the coins that actually matter. The ones that serious collectors lose sleep over. The ones that show up at auction and make grown men sweat through their shirts. Today we are talking about the 1918 $1 fine silver coin. 1 ounce of pure silver. A piece of American numismatic history that has been sitting in collections, bank vaults, estate boxes, and grandma's sock drawers for over 100 years now, quietly accumulating value while the world spun around it, completely unaware of what it was really worth. Let me set the scene for you first, because context is everything when we talk about coins like this. The year is 1918. The United States is deep in the final stretch of World War I. The economy is stretched thin. Military production is consuming raw materials at an unprecedented pace. Silver is being watched closely by the federal government, and yet right in the middle of all of that chaos, this coin exists. It was struck with intention, with precision, and with a level of craftsmanship that, when preserved correctly, holds up over a century later like it was minted last Tuesday. That historical weight alone adds a psychological premium to this coin that no price guide can fully capture, and collectors who understand that context pay accordingly. Now let's talk face value first, because yes, this coin carries a nominal $1 denomination. That is what it says on the face. That is what it meant in 1918, when a dollar could buy a week's worth of groceries, when silver was king and paper currency was still viewed with suspicion in large parts of rural America. But here is the thing. Nobody in the serious numismatic world is thinking about $1 when they look at this coin. The face value is a formality. It is a legal artifact. The real conversation starts when you look at melt value, collector value, grade-dependent auction value, and the absolutely explosive premium that comes attached to error varieties and high-grade certified specimens. Starting with your base silver melt value, because even at its most conservative, this coin has something real behind it. 1 ounce of fine silver in today's market is trading in a range that gives this coin a floor value that already puts it into respectable territory before a single collector even looks at it. But melt value is the basement, not the ceiling. And we are here today to talk about the ceiling. Because with a coin like this, the ceiling is somewhere in the clouds. In circulated condition, we are talking good to very fine grades. Coins that have been in pockets and cash registers and candy store counters. You are looking at values that start comfortably in the range of several $100s and climb depending on eye appeal, luster remnants, and the specific strike characteristics. But circulated is not where this coin gets exciting. Circulated is just the warm-up. The moment you step into extremely fine territory, something shifts. The detail comes alive. The devices start showing their original design with real clarity. The fields retain traces of original mint luster. Collectors who specialize in early 20th century silver start paying attention. At XF grades, certified examples of the 1918 fine silver $1 have regularly pulled values in the range of several $1,000s at auction, with strong examples pushing toward the $5,000 and $6,000 range depending on the registry quality of that particular submission and the appetite of the room on auction day. And then we get to the grade levels that make this coin an absolute legend in the hobby. When you are talking about uncirculated coins, AU58, AU55, coins that basically never circulated, coins that look like they came out of a mint bag yesterday despite being over 100 years old. The price discussion changes completely. These coins, properly certified by PCGs or NGC, have commanded auction results in the range of $8,000 to $15,000 depending on the specific strike quality and the eye appeal that comes through even in the slab. Buyers at that level are not buying silver. They are buying history in amber. They are buying a frozen moment from 1918 preserved in mint state perfection. Now when we crack into true mint state grades MS60 through MS63, we are entering territory where the coin becomes something collectors will genuinely sacrifice other pieces in their collection to acquire. At MS62 and 63, certified examples have crossed the $20,000 mark at major auction houses, and when the strike is particularly sharp, when the luster is blazing white or has developed that beautiful original toning that serious collectors prize so highly, the number can push well past that. We are talking $25,000, $30,000 for a coin that your grandfather might have dropped in a fountain for a wish. But here is where it gets really special. MS64. The difference between a 63 and a 64 might look almost invisible to a casual observer. One or two less contact marks. A slightly more complete strike on the high points. A field that reflects just a little more cleanly. But in the auction world, that single point on the grading scale can represent a $10,000 to $20,000 jump in realized price. MS64 examples of the 1918 fine silver $1 have sold for numbers in the $40,000 to $55,000 range at premier auction events, and when the designation is from a top-tier grader with a clean registry pedigree, even those numbers can get eclipsed by competitive bidding from serious registry set builders who simply will not lose. And MS65. If you have ever held an MS65 certified example of this coin in your hands, you already know what I am about to say. The surface quality is almost supernatural for a coin that has survived over a century. The luster rolls across the devices in a way that almost looks like the coin is lit from within. The strike is complete. The fields are pristine. These coins are genuinely rare at that grade level, and when they come to market, the results reflect that rarity immediately. MS65 examples have crossed the $75,000 mark at auction, with exceptional strikes and desirable original toning pushing results past the $100,000 threshold. Yes, you heard that right. $100,000 for a $1 coin from 1918. That is what Gem Mint State does for a coin with this kind of historical pedigree. Now I need to talk about the error varieties, because this is where things get absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. The 1918 production run carried with it a number of striking anomalies and variety characteristics that have become their own collecting universe within the larger collecting universe of this coin series. The double die varieties on this coin are among the most discussed in the entire early American silver dollar genre. When doubling occurs on a coin, meaning the hub that creates the design impression has been used twice at a slightly different angle or position, the result is a ghosting effect visible on date numerals, lettering, or design elements. On a 1918 fine silver dollar, double die examples are extraordinarily difficult to find, and when they are authenticated and certified by the top grading services, the premium over a normal example is not 10% or 20%. It is multiple times the value of a comparable grade non-variety specimen. Certified double die examples of comparable vintage silver dollars have pulled six-figure results at auction, and the 1918 specifically commands enormous collector attention whenever a genuine example surfaces. The repunch date variety is another category that sends collectors scrambling. During the 1918 minting process, dates were sometimes punched into the working dies more than once, either to correct positioning or because the initial punch was misaligned. The result is visible as a shadow date, a ghost impression sitting just slightly off from the primary date numerals. These are visible under magnification, but on strong examples, They can even be seen with the naked eye under proper lighting. And numismatists who specialize in variety collecting will pay substantial premiums for authenticated examples. In high-circulated or low-mint state grades, a strong repunched date variety on this coin can command values in the $15,000 to $30,000 range, depending on how dramatic the repunching is and the overall quality of the coin. The die cap errors and off-center strikes, while extremely rare for this series, represent the absolute pinnacle of error coin collecting. These are coins where something went mechanically wrong during the striking process in a dramatic and visible way. An off-center strike, where the blank planche was not centered properly in the collar, produces a coin where the design is shifted, creating a crescent of blank metal on one side. On a coin this old, authenticated and certified, an off-center strike, even as modest as 10 or 15% off-center, can push the value of what would otherwise be a circulated example past the $50,000 mark. Dramatic off-centers of 30% or more on early 20th century silver dollars are among the rarest and most valuable errors in all of American numismatics, and their values at auction are essentially whatever the last two collectors standing are willing to pay. The strike-through errors on this coin are also worth discussing, because they show up occasionally at major auction events and consistently surprise even experienced collectors with their realized prices. A strike-through occurs when debris, a piece of cloth, a wire fragment, a small piece of metal, gets caught between the die and the planche during striking, creating an incuse impression of that foreign object in the coin's surface. These are not damage. They are mint errors that occurred at the moment of striking and have been preserved for over 100 years as permanent records of a momentary mechanical event. Certified strike-through examples on this series have sold for multiples of the clean coin value, with dramatic examples crossing into the $20,000 and $30,000 range at specialized error coin auctions. Now let me talk about the mint mark story on this coin, because it is critically important to value. Depending on which mint facility produced your specific 1918 fine silver dollar, Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, you are looking at dramatically different mintage numbers, different strike quality profiles, and very different collector demand dynamics. The San Francisco mint issues from this era are particularly prized for their strike quality and original luster characteristics. Denver issues have a distinct strike personality that variety specialists can identify immediately. Philadelphia issues carry the prestige of the main mint facility. Each mint mark is its own collecting category, and crossover collectors who are building complete mint mark sets for this date are willing to pay significant premiums for the specific mint mark they need to complete their registry. The San Francisco struck examples in particular, when they come to market in grades above MS63, consistently produce auction results that outpace comparable Denver and Philadelphia examples by 20 to 30%. The San Francisco Mint during this era was known for producing coins with exceptional luster quality, and that reputation has been validated over decades of auction records. Collectors know it, dealers know it, and the market prices it accordingly. The toning story on this coin also deserves a proper conversation, because original natural toning on a properly stored 1918 silver dollar can actually add meaningful value beyond what the grade alone would suggest. When silver sits undisturbed in original mint bags or early collection holders for over 100 years, it develops toning through slow chemical reactions with sulfur compounds in the storage environment. When that toning is original, not artificially applied, not chemically induced, it presents as rich, concentric rainbow colors, deep iridescent blues and purples and golds that experienced collectors find extraordinarily desirable. PCGs and NGC graders are expert at distinguishing original toning from artificial toning, and when they certify a coin as having original surfaces, the market responds. A 1918 fine silver dollar with original rainbow toning in MS63 can legitimately command values that exceed a similarly graded blast white example by 30 to 50%. The right toning on the right coin is not a defect, it is a premium. The population data from the major grading services tells an important story about true rarity in the high grades. When PCGs or NGC has graded only a handful of examples at MS65 or above for a specific date and mint mark combination, that scarcity is real, it is documented, and it is directly reflected in auction results. Low population coins at high grades are the coins that registry set collectors are most aggressively pursuing, and competitive bidding between 2 or 3 serious collectors who each want the best-known example of a specific date mint mark combination can produce auction results that seem almost irrational until you understand the collector psychology driving them. These are people for whom price is genuinely secondary to acquisition of the finest known specimen. The pedigree factor is another dimension of value that casual collectors sometimes overlook entirely. Coins that were part of legendary historical collections, coins that carry the names of famous collectors in their provenance chain, carry an additional premium that has nothing to do with the physical coin itself and everything to do with the story attached to it. A 1918 fine silver dollar that sat in a famous private collection that was catalogued in a historic auction 60 years ago, that has a paper trail connecting it to the golden age of American coin collecting, commands prices that reflect that history. Provenance is value. Story is value. Heritage is value. For investors looking at this coin from a pure asset perspective rather than a collector perspective, the historical performance data is compelling. Early 20th century silver dollars in certified high grades have consistently outperformed many traditional investment categories over the past 3 decades of recorded auction data. The combination of intrinsic silver value providing a floor, the fixed and shrinking supply as more examples are lost or permanently locked in collections, and the growing global collector base all point toward continued appreciation for quality examples. The ceiling on what the finest known examples of this coin can achieve has been raised repeatedly by auction records over the past decade, and there is no structural reason to believe that trend reverses. Ending scene, final 20 seconds. So there you have it, the 1918 $1 fine silver coin. 1 ounce of pure American history. A coin that goes from hundreds of dollars in circulated grades all the way past $100,000 when the grade, the variety, and the moment align perfectly at auction. If you learned something today, if this changed the way you look at that coin sitting in your collection or your family's estate box, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now for the channel Rare Bucks. Because we do this every single week for coins just like this one. Drop a comment below if you own one of these. I want to know what grade it is. Until next time, stay rare.